So you'll see the difference. Now the reflections look much better, and then we don't get any splashes. So it's one-click fix for lots of troubles. So
slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down a lot.
It will slow it down just a little bit because for those areas you have to switch to the primary engine, and usually it's either a brute force or reference map.
So the smaller the number, the less it will slow it down.
Yeah, the smaller the number, the less it will look for less radius around the problem to use the other engine. Okay, we have the stereo rig. Maybe it concerns you a little bit because I'm guessing even in architecture you started to use things like depth of field and motion blur a lot. So basically we developed a tool called a helper called Vray stereoscopic, which allows us to render the stereoscopic image at once. But the thing about rendering the stereoscopic image, let me just explain and I'll explain. Vray is like rendering stereoscopic takes twice the time because you need to render like 3 images. And like if you know what you're doing with Vray, you can optimize things. For example, you can save the GI because like the camera is moving just a little bit, and you can use the same irradiance maps and so on. But the final rendering, you have to do it twice. And we thought of a way to kind of optimize this. So what we do is we added this to the stereoscopic rig, which actually helps us to render the 2 images. So you create some kind of texture, which is called shade map, and then you use this shade map to render the final image faster. Basically, that's the idea. Because now the great optimization, of course, works for heavy scenes like this, where you have a lot of depth of field or a lot of motion blur. And I'm showing it to you now, but just keep in mind that it's not fully developed. Right now we have to do both steps manually, and it's kind of, you have to do it manually, which is not a good thing. And you also need to make for every frame of an animation, so you have to probably make the script. But what we're working on is being able to actually create one shade map for the whole thing, and then for an animation, and then use just it. Let me just... I want to point out the render time. Okay, it took us 1 minute and 10 seconds. It's every time it's different, and maybe English power is better. I was in the Middle East last week, and it took us 2 minutes almost to render. I didn't change anything today. Okay, so I'll bring in the stereoscopic rig.
It's the goodwill in the room.
I guess so, yeah. And here's the shade map functionality. You just say thing that you have to do manually, that you want to render a shade map, and save it somewhere on, usually. Yes. It's
a 3D image.
No, it creates a sort of a texture, 3-dimensional texture of the shading in the scene. I'm not entirely sure like what it looks like inside of it, but what will happen is Vray will disable all the depth of field, all the glossy stuff, all the things that are hard to render. Basically, it will disable them just to create the map. And then you can use this texture, this map to actually finish stereoscopic renderings faster, and also things like motion blur and depth of field also will be optimized.
But will this map be override on the radiance?
No, it's a different kind. It's a different kind. It's a different kind of map. You load it in this stereoscopic recovery.
So this is going to be useful even if you're not rendering for 3D.
If you're not, yeah, but it can help you with things like heavy depth of field and motion blur. And the more those effects are prominent, like the heavier the depth of field and the heavier the motion blur, the more visible the difference will be. So this took us 50 seconds. This was the creating of the map, and so I'm now going to switch to use shade map. And now we'll see how much it takes to render both images. Now, as I told you, this is yet in development, but I just want to let you know what's coming. Because the idea is, for example, if you want to animate just the depth of field or just the focal point, you can do this with just one shade map, and it will be for animations much great optimization. So both images now are rendered for 50 seconds. Altogether it's lower by rendering 1/2 of the element. Yes. So for stereoscopic animation, the improvement is more prominent. Okay, here I have something very interesting. I guess all of you know about Vray and distance dirt map. So you know the dirt map. When you have objects close together, black. When they are far away, white. And people want to be able to use this for things like displacement, for example, or controlling the strength of a Vray. The problem with this one is that this texture actually requires ray tracing, and it cannot be used to create dynamic geometry. So you can see here, however, I'm actually able to use some sort of a texture to control the length of this per object. And this texture is new one. It's called Vray distance texture. So again, we have black and white color. Based on the distance of objects, you give it a radius, much like the dirt map. But the thing about it is that you have to specify the distance to which object you want to measure, and that's the only thing. And then you can use it to control things like displacement, like fur. So for architects, I'm guessing if you like have an interior scene and you want the character to be walking on a very thick carpet and you want his feet to deform the strands, you can use this. Otherwise, you'll have to basically sort of create the texture manually, I guess. Not sure how you will do it otherwise. And I'd rather have you lift and not wait for this to render, but I think I had the image rendered. This was what was going to be rendered. Okay. Let's see what we have next. Do you guys have to deal with camera matching sometimes? Yeah. Okay. So this scene is going to like blow you away. No, like camera, yeah. Camera matching is pretty simple when you have the physical camera, for the most part. The only thing that's hard to do is basically matching the distortion of a camera. And we created a small tool, which is called Lens Analyzer tool. You can find it in the tools in the installation. It looks like this. It allows you to actually download the distortion profile of any camera that you have in your hands. So how it works, you go to Analysis, Print Test Chart. It will ask you for the aspect ratio of the camera, and you print something like this. You put this on a wall, you take a bunch of pictures of it. There's like explanation exactly how the pictures have to be taken, so that in the end you end up with images like this one. Like for different focal lengths, you get different images, and you add them into this tool. So you can see that I have several, like a couple of images for each focal length, so that I have a bit of a redundancy. And I can tell it to analyze the images, get the distortion information. Then I'll say consolidate. And this is like step by step, very detailed explained, but I don't want to waste your time. And now we get the profile for this one, so I can save it here. And I can select my camera. And down here where we have the distortion, we now have a different type of distortion, which is called lens file. And I can just browse the lens file that I just created. And hit render. And now I'll get exactly the same distortion that I'll get with my real camera. So this will make it easier for me to match things together. And I don't get those floating kind of. Okay, moving on. I only have cool things now. This one is pretty interesting. You can see that, well, you can't see, but those grapes have the same material, those pears have exactly the same material. Trust me. I rushed it, so. Okay. And you can see that even while we're rendering the white fish, you can see that those are like purple, and the two pairs are also different. So the grapes are different, and the pairs are also different. And the way we're doing this is using one of the new textures that we have in Vray. It's called Vray Multisub. It's much like the multisub material. It allows you to actually plug a texture into material, assign this material to different objects, and based on the object IDs or the faces IDs that are there, that the material is on, the texture will feed this material different parameters, different colors with different textures, and I'm going to show you right away. Just wanted to see it here. You see this is green and this is obviously not. I'm going to show you how I did this very quickly. And I like to use the slate editor. Let's see how it looks good. Okay, this is the grape. We have a blend material. The base of this blend material is this subsurface material, which is actually the main color of the grapes. And you'll see that here for subsurface color texture, I have plugged this new one, which is called Vray multi-sub. And if I bring this up, you'll see that for ID1, I have this color, for ID2, I have this color, ID3, this one, and so on. And let me quickly show you the pair, and then we'll examine this a little bit more. Same setup, but this time instead of using the colors, I'm just feeding it maps. So one pair has the green one, and the other one has the brown one. And let me hide this, and just to prove my point that I'm not lying. You shouldn't. Okay, down here, somewhere, where okay, set ID, you see 4. This one should be like 1, 3. So that's how I'm giving different colors. And this will be like, what this will do for me is make it easier to organize the scene, organize like, if I want to have the same material, it's all like some slight variation, so I don't have to make 20 different materials, I can just make one and use the texture. Another sort of architectural thing, we have this scene, which is, well, an interior scene. We have GI and a bunch of area lights in the scene. I made it faster to render by saving my GI, so I don't have to wait too long. Think of what to say. The thing here is that when you get many area lights, you can see that I also have some blurry reflections on the core and so on. It's hard to render this, and it's hard to set it up. And if you have to change the light a little bit and see how does it look like, you have to wait. Also, another problem is if you, for example, you are happy with the lighting, you render it out an animation, and then the technical director or whoever is making this scene says, okay, change the lighting a little bit, you have to render everything, which is not cool. I've heard, not actually, I don't deal with production, but that's what they tell me. So what we can do is use one new render element that we added, which is called Vray light select render element. So it's here in the render elements. You just add it. Here it is, and you get this list. So you can add the lights, whichever lights you want to this list. So, and those lights will have their contribution extracted from the scene.
So you can put multiple groups in each
yeah, you
one,
can,
or
like,
you can do one for each
yeah.
light.
The problem is this one is moving too much. You'll see now. Actually, I'll show it here. So this is then this is just for one light. This is the ambient. You have a ambient light. This is the top light. These are all the small lights on the side. So the cool thing is that I can actually now move this into pretty flare. Compose those together. Let me zoom out a little bit. I will move. This is the beauty pass on the left, and this is the actual composed thing. So let's say I want to check this wall lights on the side. I'll increase the exposure. It increases the exposure.
So how did you use the PD player? How did you use the PD player?
How did I open PD?
Yeah, what is it?
It's one other product which is a basic thing for reviewing sequences, and it can do color corrections, basic compositing stuff and things like that.
I guess if you don't have PD player, you could do this in another compositing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Anything anything that has the operator. I'm not sure what's the
Sorry,
yeah.
is that only including the direct elimination from the lights, or is that giving you the result of the indirect elimination of each light?
Well, no, you don't have the GI separately.
Yeah.
You have to add it. Here is my Vray elimination. it's good, like if you change the lighting drastically, it will be obvious that it's...
Well, if you change the light completely from blue to white, the underrecollation will be different.
Yeah,